Hello, beautiful people. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you are doing well and that you are taking care of yourselves. I'm Chris Danker, and this is Let the Adventure Begin. Let the Adventure Begin with Chris Danker podcast. Hey, welcome to episode 148. This week I want to talk about the book Ordinary Time. It is about staying put and the lessons that we learn by doing so. And I was drawn to this book because of its author, Annie B. Jones. She's a writer, podcaster, and the owner of The Bookshelf, which is an independent bookstore in Thomasville, Georgia. I have two of those three things, and she's living my third dream of having an independent bookstore. Her podcast is called From the Front Porch, and I really love this podcast because on it she talks about books, small business, and even though this does not apply to me, life in the South. And even though, like I said, I'm a Midwesterner through and through, I really appreciate hearing viewpoints of people from all over the world. And, in the United States, there are so many different perspectives, even within this country. And so I really like hearing her perspective on where she lives. And like I said, I was drawn to this because she was born and raised in Tallahassee, and she now lives, like I said, in Thomasville, Georgia, and which is not that far away from Tallahassee. And so she stayed in a, very small radius, and that really applies to my life as well. I live a solid hour from my hometown. I have never lived any more than an hour and a half from my hometown. And so I really resonated with this book from that standpoint, and how sometimes it can be really hard to be the one who stays when you might have friends and family who live in different parts of the country, or they have traveled a lot abroad, and you're the one staying put. And sometimes it would be easy, or we could understand when we have the question of, why not me? Why am I the one who is staying put when everyone else seems to have this really exciting life? And so reading this book was a great reminder to me that staying put also is very beautiful. And she divides this book into 5 parts. The first part is staying friends. The second is staying put. Part 3 is staying faithful. Part 4 is staying grounded, and then part 5 is staying you. And I wanted to draw from the chapter that is called Be Ringo, and this is from part 3, I believe. I just want to double check. Yeah, part 3 on staying faithful. And she talks about the Beatles documentary and how, different fans have always, been, they might either be a Paul fan or they're a John fan. And, not very many people, they even look at George Harrison as the mystical one. But Ringo's kind of there. And the Annie B. Jones, she talked about how, when she was watching the documentary, she really for whatever reason focused in on Ringo. And she had some things that some observances of watching him that she was like, I want this to be my vibe. And when I read these 3 just very short, I don't know if you want to call it 3 parts to a mantra, but it was really, I don't know, I highlighted it. I've even made a poster of it. It is now in a frame in my office. And I just wanted to share those 3 parts with you today. And the 3 parts of it are, I want to show up on time, mind my own business, and take things as they come. And I feel like, as in my role as a school counselor and just even in general in my own life, I want to do a better job in these three areas. And maybe this is something that would resonate with you too. Showing up on time is huge. When you say you're going to do something and following through with it, a lot of it has to do with, how are you showing up, and are you showing up on time? I heard this saying many years ago. It went something like, to be early is to be on time is to be late. Meaning, a lot of times when we say we're going to be on time, things pop up and inevitably something happens and then we get there late. And so it's almost like we need to live by that philosophy of being early so that if those things pop up, we're on time. And even though it seems like a small thing, so many people arrive fashionably late to social events, but even in their professional lives and their jobs. And it just sometimes says a lot about you if you can't even show up to what you say you're going to do or where you need to be for your profession, if you can't even show up on time. So even though it might feel like a small thing, it's actually a really big thing that we can control and really has more of an impact on others than we realize. So that's the first part of it. I want to show up on time. Secondly, mind my own business. I have this saying that when there are things going on that aren't my responsibility, I have this little saying in my head, and again, I don't remember where I first heard it, but it's not my monkeys, not my circus. It's not my business, so I need to stay out of it. And sometimes that's really hard, especially if I see someone that is struggling with something. I'm a fixer, and so I want to swoop in and fix it. And that doesn't really necessarily help the other person, because sometimes they need to figure it out, or I shouldn't say sometimes, they need to be able to figure it out on their own. If we're constantly swooping in to fix things for someone else, they're never going to learn the lesson. And so even though the person might struggle, they might fail, we have to let that happen. And like I said, for those of us who are fixers, sometimes it's really hard to simply mind our own business. And that doesn't mean that we're not compassionate or that we're not we're turning our back on someone. Certainly not. But it's instead, we can have really good intentions, but then overreach. And I know that I've done that both in my professional and personal life, where I've had really good intentions, and inevitably I've made things worse. And so I'm really trying to take that step back and minding my own business and making sure that I'm there to, if someone asks for advice or wants some assistance, that I'm there. But if they don't, they have to sometimes figure that out for themselves, and to, remember that I need to do the same thing. Sometimes I get really irritated if someone steps in and tries to fix things of my doing that I need to take care of. So I need to remember how I feel when someone oversteps in my territory, that I don't overstep on someone else's. So that second one of minding my own business, I think that's hard for a lot of us, especially when we're well-intentioned and we want to fix things and we want to just be that helper. But many times it backfires and we just need to step back. And the last is take things as they come. I'm usually pretty good at this one, taking things as they come, but I know that I can do better, that I'm usually a very good, just go with the flow. And if it's out of my control, it's out of my control, and I can only do things as they come. And like I said, for some people that are really strong type A personalities, this is really, really tough. And I wish I had really great advice on how to overcome this. Sometimes it's just, like I said, it's something that we just have to learn through experience and just know who we are. However, it's also important to just be able to take a step back and, as let things come as they're supposed to, and, not sweat the small stuff so much, because I think that's what a lot of us do, is that we're constantly sweating the small stuff. So don't sweat the small stuff. If that means, taking a deep breath, if that means going for a walk when things just seem to be amping up, that's what we need to do in order for us to just be able to relax into those moments. So again, I love that that Annie B. Jones, that she, really took a look at, how living an ordinary life is an amazing thing. I will put a link to this book in the show notes, as well as a link to her podcast, From the Front Porch, because I think you'll really enjoy both of them. And I know that if I'm ever in Thomasville, Georgia, I'm going to head to her bookstore. Again, it's called The Bookshelf. So check it out if you're in that area. And and I just wanted to bring out that one part of the book because it just really hit home with me about, really focusing in on those three areas that I talked about today. Showing up on time and how that can be very impactful. Minding my own business, meaning don't overreach when it's not mine to take care of, and to take things as they come. I hope that you are having a fantastic week, and until next week, let your adventure begin. Peace.